Gimel, the Aleph. It's in the middle of the page. Shmuel. Shmuel. Statement from Shmuel. Kol shechazera, any seed from a man, shein gufin margishba, that his body doesn't sense it when it's exiting, when it's emitting from him. Eina metama, it doesn't make him tummy. My timer. What's the reason for that? Shechazera marachmana b'riya lazriya. The Torah says Shechva Zera makes tamei. It has to be Zera. It has to be able to cause conception. And this doesn't. If the body doesn't feel it when it's leaving. Okay. Meisvei. The Gemara has a question here. Mahar b'layla v'amad. Let's say a person was thinking thoughts, sexual thoughts, and he wakes up and he finds that his body's warm, so he's tummy. We assume that probably there was Shechva Zera. Now, what's the problem with this? He doesn't know that there was. His body didn't feel it. He didn't have a sensation that it was leaving. And according to Shmuel, if there's no sensation that it was emitting from him, so he shouldn't be tummy. And here we have a Bais that says that he is tummy. Rav Huna explains that Bais that he was having a dream that he was having relations. And then it would be impossible. And then it would be impossible that there was no hargasha, that there was no sensation. So here we're switching it to say that even though he doesn't know that there was a sensation because he was asleep, but nevertheless there definitely was, because in his dream he was having relations. Another statement from Shmuel that's like another version of the statement of Shmuel. Amar Shmuel kol shechazer sheniyar tcheitz. Shmuel says any shechazer that doesn't shoot like an arrow, ain't a metama. It's not metama. Ma'yek ben haylish and l'haylish. The Gemara compares the two lishnas of Shmuel. One was there's no sensation when it emits from him, and the other one is it doesn't shoot like an arrow. What's the difference? It could be nayu nekra b'hargasha v'yatzu shlei b'hargasha. This is a topic we've been discussing for a while. Is that where exactly tumah takes place? So by the Shechva Zera, we always say it takes place after it leaves the body. However, there's also a location inside where it leaves from, and before it leaves the body, as it goes through the whatever they track this, it's not a urethra or something, whatever it is, whatever so as it's traveling through, so it could be that it was nekar b'hargash. He had a sensation at the beginning, and then it leaves without being yarek, without shooting like an arrow. Over here it's called yatzu shlei b'hargasha. It's just like it drips out. So that would be a difference between the two lishnas. According to the first lishna, it says the main thing is the hargasha, the hargasha. According to the second lishna, that the way it exits the body, it didn't exit the body properly, it'd be tar. What was very obvious to Shmuel was actually not so obvious to Rava, and the Rava was later. The boy Rava had a question.
Nekra. Even though that for early generations were better in a way smarter. Like that's why Amaram can't argue with Tamar.
Right, that's normally how it's done. What I meant was you're correct about that. What I meant was even though he could have heard of what Shmuel said, but he still wasn't. Maybe he didn't hear, or either he heard and he didn't accept it. It says like this. Rava's question is nekra b'hargasha v'yatza shlei b'hargasha. There was a sensation at the beginning, but as it emits from the body, there was no sensation then. It just like drips out. Mahu, what's the halacha there? Is it tamei or not? Is he tamei? Tashima. Someone mentioned this a few days ago. Valkeri, someone that had a mission, Shechva Zera, Shetaval, he went to the mikvah. But he didn't urinate before he went to the mikvah. So it could be there's still drops of Shechva Zera there. So the Kashiyatal Mayim, after, if he urinates after the mikveh, it becomes tummy again.
So you have to clean the system.
Clean the system, right?
Drain.
Right. Okay. So, what are we seeing over here? It's leaving the body without sensation. Why are you saying he's tamei afterwards? There was no sensation as it left. He was just urinating. There's no sensation. So according to Shmuel, we're not discussing Shmuel right now. This is a proof. Rabbi had it as a question. It's a proof that he's tamei. Gemara says, 1 second. Over there it's different. Shani Hasam Deruba Bargasha Nafa. Over there, most of it came out with Argasha originally. Originally, it emitted from him with a sensation. Then there could have been some drops left that weren't cleaned out. And those drops are still going to be tummy because the majority came out with Argasha. So this is like a new criteria here. Urine with the was there, yeah. Okay. Lishnachina, there's another.
Then you have to do another mikveh?
Yeah, that's what it would mean here. Yeah.
I gotta do 5 mikvehs.
So there's what we learned in another Gemara was that it depends on a person's age. That if he's old, young enough to tie his shoe while standing on one foot, then it's assumed that all the Shech Vazera came out originally and not that it's going to come out after. But we're not quoting that here because that's not relevant for this. We wanted to prove here that there's tumah even without hargasha. If it emits without hargasha, we weren't able to prove it because there was hargasha originally.
When he stands on one foot, he touch the shoe on the
Yeah, the question. I assumed the one in the air. I assumed the one in the air because which one he ties? I assume because he's lifting up his foot to tie his shoe, right? Yeah. Amar Shmuel, Kol Shefazer Shein Yer Kechetz Ein Madras. Now we have another statement from another version of the statement of Shmuel. Originally we're talking about Tumah. Now Shmuel says, this according to this version, if it doesn't shoot like an arrow, then it won't cause conception. Azri Hudalai Mazra. Conception it won't cause Hatmoi Metame, but it will cause Tumah. Interesting. That's a diak that we have. Shmuel didn't say that, but that's what it sounds like. Shenemar, or maybe Shmuel did say. Shenemar, as it says, Kia b'cha ish, asher lo yiyatar mikra. A man that will not be pure, he has an occurrence. Afilu carry boilam, any sort of occurrence that he has will make him tummy. Even if it's not emitting like an arrow. Boy Rava. Rabbi has a question. Let's say there's a non-Jew that had sexual thoughts, and the zera was nekar from him, but it stayed inside. And biyard v'taval, but it was this day of the mikveh where he's converting. He goes down into the mikveh. So Mahu, what's the din? What's the din? It didn't come out from him yet, but it was nekar. It was, I guess, separated from where it is in the inner part of the source. And if we say that we follow where it was, if it leaves where it's produced, so maybe we could say, if we would say that nekar b'hargasha, if there was hargasha originally, sensation originally, and then it leaves him by just stripping out without hargasha, without sensation. Let's say we'll say that he's tummy, but maybe we only said that he's tummy l'chumra because we don't know that. So what would that mean that he's tummy? Because the main thing would be how it is when it starts. If we look at the beginning of it, how it starts, and at the beginning there was hargasha, what's going to come out over here? He wasn't Jewish. So, and then he wasn't Jewish.
Wasn't an effective mikveh. Just like the person who had urine in him? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think the other way.
I can't even figure out what's the kula and what's the koma
Yeah.
here.
But
Because
if it's
the carry is only by a Jew.
by Jew,
Right.
yeah. So
So-
why is not important?
If the main thing is when it's inside, if it's nekar from a non-Jew, if we say that when it's nekar, when it's being separated inside, that's when I need the hargasha. That means because that's when the tumah is being produced. So here, he wasn't Jewish when that happened. So now he goes to the mikveh, and it comes out of his body. So all of that substance, all of that that fluid was from a non-Jew. And so we'll say, so that's what we would say if we would follow that opinion. However, but to make him tar or lie, we don't say that. Or maybe we say the other way, that maybe there's no difference. We always follow the origin of it. And the origin of it should be pure, because he wasn't Jewish. The tumah only applies to a Jew. And so here he wasn't Jewish when that happened.
He can get converted?
He gets converted.
On the middle. In the
Yeah,
middle,
100% converted.
in the transaction.
That day?
No,
Yeah.
that's what in the transaction of getting a Jew, it's happened in the
Right.
case.
Right.
In the transaction of the transaction.
That took place.
Just what you.
That's what
Why
it
did
is.
they ask this question over and over and over
Can I give all the details here?
Like in Challah, it says if somebody made the dough, and then he became a Gary, and then does he have to take out Challah or not?
Do you remember
They
that,
said,
Gemara?
yeah, I did. And so I wasn't.
See,
I
where's
wasn't.
this catch? Where's
I'm
this
saying
catch?
like why do they always ask questions like this when there's always the same answer?
Oh, good. Call him, say, hey, buddy.
What was the answer? He
I'm
doesn't
pretty sure
have to
you're
get
fine.
that.
No, he doesn't, because he's Jewish now. There's
Oh, he
actually,
will just
He
have to
needed the
take
dough. We had a
off
question if the dough was needed.
because-
If he mixed the water and he went to the mikveh, if he still needs to take challah afterwards before it's big. That was the Gemara there, right?
Or is that not different if someone is Jewish, you get a challah and you are not sure that they were mafish challah? Don't you take off a piece?
Yeah, but here,
That way a minhag
here we're saying the question is what's the real chiyuv? What is the chiyuv? Does it go away when when the water was added? Was that the whole chiyuv?
Good question.
No, it's more involved in the. I had a whole bunch of questions about this, similar to that. That if someone goes to the mikveh after the Zman for Shachris, but it's before Chatzais, so is Shachris a Tashlumin? Can you still make it up? Maybe he was never Chayev. I had like a whole bunch of different problems that, whatever, just like fun questions, but it was very practical also. Okay.
No problem. Yeah.
But Teku, we leave this. This question is left. I'm not answering your question because the situation is only getting worse. We have new questions.
Or better.
Okay. Boy Rava asked, Zava Shenekru Meme Raglea. The yard of a Tavla. Here we have a Zava. This is a woman that she's a Zava. She saw blood 3 times. The only problem is now is that there's also something called Mayone Zav or Zava. There's fountains. Any source of any fluid that comes from her body is also tamei. So here it's urine that's coming from a Zava. Now it's left wherever the urine is produced. It's on its way out, but she can still hold it back before it exits the body. The yard of a tavla, and she goes, now she's in the mikveh. She dips, she comes up, and then it comes out of her. So do we say that this is considered fluid from a zava because it already separated? It's fluid from a zava, or do we say that it's fluid from someone that's starved? You have a question here? is it fluid from the zava and it happened to be sitting inside of her, or do we say it's fluid from someone that's taught? And if you follow the origin, so we right away get into an issue. If you follow the origin, so then we would say that this is from the zava, and it's going to be tamei. But maybe we could say, why do I follow the origin by shechva zera? That's because shechva zera, you can't hold it back. The body can't hold it back from coming out. But urine, where you could hold it back from being released. Maybe over there we don't follow the origin because there's still restraint that a person can have to hold it back. Maybe we say there's no difference. He always followed the origin, and therefore over here she would be tahar. Because therefore over here it would be tamei, because it was released before she went to the mikveh, and that fluid was already tamei. Take it. I believe this as a question. Boy, Rav has another question. A non-Jew that's a zava. When it says zava over here, it doesn't mean really a zava, because a non-Jew can't be a zava. What it means is that a non-Jew is considered a zava midrabanan. The rabbis put on that status of a zava on a non-Jew, and so okay. Where's the Gemara? It's a Gemara in Avodah Zarah. That Sheneka Meme Regla, that her urine was. So her urine was separated inside, begins to be released, but it's still inside of her. So
what was the point of this, Rabbi?
To keep people away from, people were more serious about tumah, loss of tumah, than other things.
She has no tumah.
She has no tumah.
So what's the point of?
So they added a rabbinic tumah.
Yeah.
They added a rabbinic tumah so that I guess the Jewish man should not live with them.
Yeah, but I'm asking the question. The phrase that's used is nishkaz. Yiddish Goya Zona.
Right. That's the Gemara there.
And it's not, doesn't include Zava. Yiddish Goya Zona.
Right.
As Goya refers to this.
I think what we're adding by saying that is that the mayonas are tamei. The other fluids that come from it. So it's more than just the nida and that. I don't remember the Gemara there.
Wait, I'm reading the Gemara.
Nashkaz.
I'm reading the Gemara there. It's talking about a Jewish boy that had relations with his owner. So that's where the Zava came from. It was his Zav.
Yeah.
That's the other Gemara. You have to flip up. Let's see if Odin's over.
So, yeah, you have both there. You're gonna have both there. But the idea over here was that so that a Jewish boy not associate frequently with her or him or whatever. So that's why they put on it the tumah. There were people that were more strict about tumah than about the actual halachas. It would be today people that are more strict about minhagim than about that's an example.
Passover Seder, all my relatives come, but it's not really kosher for Passover food.
Right.
But it's
right. I was thinking more like closer to home. Maybe I'll say Tehillim, but miss the time for Shachris or something. I don't know. An example. But you see, it was something that was serious. They were making halachas because of that. So we have over here a non-Jewish woman that she's considered a zava. Urine is starting to come out of her. She goes to the mikveh to convert. Then it comes out afterwards. Do we say that it was already released before and it never got purified? Maybe we say basar akira. If we would say basar akira, then it would be tame. Basar akira is linan. Oh, you have to add in 1 point, because when did we say basar akira? That you start after when it gets beginning to be released. That's only by shech vazera where you can't hold it back. We weren't sure if you can say it by urine, because you can hold it back. Maybe you don't follow the akira. But nevertheless, we'd still say that it's basar akira after the beginning. But maybe hanimil Yisraelis, the Talmud Deraisa. Maybe we only say that by a Jewish woman that's Talmud Deraisa. We'll say we'll have that extra tumah there. But if it's only tumah midrabanan, because this is a woman that's not really tummy, just the rabbis instituted it. So are we going to say that the tumah came out before and it never gets tarred in the mikveh, and these fluids are still tamei, and even though now she's converted and now it exits the body, it's still tamei? Tumah derabanan light, but maybe we don't say this by a tumah derabanan. Maybe tumah derabanan has the whole tumah is only when it comes out after. Maybe we don't say this. Maybe we say that it's all the same, a Jewish woman and a non-Jewish woman. Take it. We leave it as a question. There's one point that's not so clear over here, because is nekra you see, we were very clear when it came to Nidda and Zava. We said that where does the tumah take place? Nidda and Zava, we said bibisara, inside her face. When it came to a man, we said it has to leave the body. Teitze lachutz. Now we're throwing in one other factor here, that we're saying that if there's criteria for the shechva zera to be tamei, where do I need that criteria to be? Even though it only makes some tummy after it leaves the body, but there could be earlier stages where there's a criteria that make it tummy, and that's if there was a sensation at the very beginning. Even though that's not where it becomes tummy, it becomes tummy later when it leaves the body. So we're throwing in these other factors at earlier stages of where the tummy takes place that's going to affect later. And then by the zava, we're making it that is it considered that it's part of her body when she goes to the mikveh, and therefore she's totally pure, and so is the fluids that are inside of her are pure? Or do we say that these fluids are not part of her body because it's already begun to be released, and when she goes to the mikveh, only she becomes pure, but the fluids that are there are still coming? That's basically what our question is. Okay, let's go further. The Gemara leaves this off with the takeoff. The Taman B'Kolshay. We said where's our last mission? That the Zavan and Balkari is the smallest amount of shechva zera mixed in Taman. You don't need a shear, smallest amount. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says, Zav tzarech kechasimas biyama, that a Zav requires that it should block the opening of the bris. Shmuel is adding a shear to this. Shenemar, oy hechtem b'sar mizavi, or it seals his flesh from the Zav, from the fluids that are flowing. Gemara says, 1 second, Shmuel, how could you say that? The Mishnah says that there is no shear. It's a good kasha. Who the Amar Reb Nassan? He goes like Reb Nassan. The Tanya was taught in a brayso. Reb Nassan named Mishum Rabbi Shmuel. Reb Nassan says in the name of Rabbi Shmuel. Assume Reb Nassan is Reb Nassan Ababli. He was in the time of Rabbi Meir. He's over here on the chart. Lesson above me. There's Rabbi Meir. He's saying in the name of Rabbi Shmuel.
Where's Nelson?
All the way on that side over here. They were the head of the Besdin and the Chachamim that when Rav Shimon ben Gamliel was young.
This is a Bishmel Kohen Gadol.
So it's him or his grandson. It's the grandson of Rabbi Shmuel, who's also called Rabbi Shmuel ben Elisha. I think that's how it works. But here he's saying Mishum Rabbi Shmuel, so it's hard to know which. It says like this: Zav tzarach kechasimas piyama. V'lei haydolai. Said that a zav does require a shear, but everyone argues on him. Okay. We had somewhere. Let's go. Let's see. It says, "My time with Rabbi Shmuel." What's the reason for Rabbi Shmuel that he says that you need a shear? It says in the pasuk that it seals his flesh. That means it needs a certain amount, enough that will seal the top of the bris. The Rabbanan say that it needs to only if it's wet will it be tamei, but not if it's dry. After it dries, it's not tamei. Rabbi Shmuel, how does Rabbi Shmuel know that halacha that only shechvaser that's wet is tamei? Who may roar nafka? It says. Look at the pasuk in your Gemara. Zaystia tamasi bezayvai, roar besari yazayvai, I hechtem besari yazayvai. Roar, it must mean that it flows or something. How do we translate roar? It runs. Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbanan.
Runs. It's leaking pipe.
Roar. It runs. That's the 5. Okay. It runs. So that means it has to be wet. The Rabbanan say, because Rabbi Shmuel is using these psukim, using rar. What do the Rabbanan do with rar? They use ayheftem b'sarei to tell me that it has to be wet. Rabbanan, they say hahu leminyanu dasa. That's part of the count. As you know, the halachas of Zav is that the first time is different than the second time, is different than the third time. So we need these different psukim to tell us the count, the calculation. It goes like this. Zayvay is chada. If he sees once, that we learn from Zayvay. Rar, B'sarai is tray. It runs in his flesh, that's 2. As Zayvay is tlas. It says 3 times. So, liman al-zav, b'shal shir shechayiv b'karban. That's how we know that only if a zav sees 3 times is he chayiv in a karban. Pasuk also says, that sounds like a 4th. It's tamei. Really, what it means is mix a zayvei tamei. Limit al zav b'shtei riyah shemitami mishkav u'maishav. Means to tell me that even if he sees twice, he's already gives off tumah, even though he doesn't have to bring the karban. 3 times for the karban, twice for the tumah. Two seeings for the tumah. Rabbi Shmuel minyana minale. If Rabbi Shmuel is learning from Rar to tell me that it's wet, how does he know the calculations? Nafkalim midu Rab Simai. The Tanya Rab Simai Yomi. He learns from Rab Simai. Simai taught manakasav shtayim v'kari tamei shalish v'kari tamei. The Torah counts it out and it says tamei after 2. When it says tamei after 3, okay, so how is this possible? Shtayim l'tuma shalish l'kari. So he has another source. Okay. Umar says, the one that learned from Zaystia to Masay Mizabi, which is the Rabbanan. So ish ki yazav mi besari ma yabadlay. What does he do with this pasuk? Now, what did the first opinion do with that pasuk? Yazav mi besari. Does it say over there what the first opinion did? According to the rabbis who derived the law, for both the zav of 2 emissions and 3 emissions from that pasuk, instead of from Rab Simai. So what does he do with the pasuk? Ish ki yazav mi besarai. I guess Rab Simai's pasuk. That's what it says. Yeah. So what does he do with Reb Shimai's pasuk? So that it has to leave. He says that pasuk tells me that it's only tummy when it leaves the body. Zoivai tamei lameli. What does he do from zoivai tamei? It says limit ala zoiv shu tamei. Comes to tell me that not only is the person tamei, but also the fluid, the substance is tamei. Amar Rab Chanilai mishum Reb Elazar bar Shimon. Rab Chanilai says in the name of Reb Shimon bar Yochai's son, Reb Elazar. This could have resolved the machlekes before, but we didn't bother with that. We could have answered this. There's a difference between a person that sees the person himself that has the emission to someone that touches the substance. Someone that has the emission doesn't need any measurement. Someone that touches it, it needs to be the size of a lentil. My lavin ageya, but we said in the Mishnah that it gives off to me even the smallest amount. Sounds like someone that's touching it. The Mishnah is talking about someone that has the emission over there, the smallest amount. Touching it would still need a size. The Bais says that there's a stringency, the shechvazera over a sheretz. Both of them give off tuma. We're going to compare and contrast. And the stringency of sheretz, which is a creeping creature that died, over a shechvazera. It goes like this. What's the stringency of a sheretz? A sheretz, doesn't matter the age of the sheretz. If it's dead, it's going to give off the tumah. However, shechvazera, there are differences. Depends on the age, person's age, the boy's age. He's under 9, we're going to see, it's not going to be tummy. Chaimer said by a girl, tummy even from a child. Yeah. Okay, we'll see in Mishnayos later about this. Shechvazera is more strict because it gives off tumah with the smallest amount, but a sheretz not. My love and a geya. The question is, it sounds like that even touching a shechvazera doesn't need a shear. This is Leila Raya. Talking about the person himself that has the emission, he doesn't need a shear. Now there's a little slight problem here because we contrasted shechvazera to a sheretz. Both of them are touching. But now when it came to this, to the halacha that we contrasted, we said that shechvazera doesn't need to be a shear, and the sheretz in a sheretz does need to be a shear. So 1 second. Shechvazera doesn't need to be a shear. We said touching a shechvazera does need a shear. So we said, no, we're not dealing with touching. We're talking about that it's emitting from the person. So how do you compare that? The Gemara asks. So how do you compare that to a sheretz? A sheretz doesn't emit from a person. The sheretz is touched. So it says, but we're comparing it to a sheretz. You have to use the same sort of, all the variables have to be the same other than the one thing that we're contrasting. And that's the shechvazera and the sheretz, but everything else should be similar. We weren't contrasting exactly this scenario with that scenario, touching a shechvazera, touching sheretz. We weren't contrasting. We were saying in general that this law in the book of laws about the tumah shechvazera, there are stringencies that don't apply to sheretz, which is the shear. The sheretz le'metame b'mashu, said a sheretz doesn't give off tumah the smallest amount. We have a Mishnah. If it's a full limb of one of these creatures, even if it's less than a lentil, it will give off. I don't know what size of these creatures, but if there's tiny creatures, so even if it's in one of the limbs is so small, maybe in one of the toes, whatever. So it would give off tumah even if it's less than the size of a lentil. You see that even the smallest size would give off tumah. Why are you saying that it has to be a certain size? Gemara says, Shani Ever the Kula the Makai Madasha Kai. Because that's a limb. That takes the place. If it's a limb, it takes the place of the size of the lentil. The Ilu Chas report the Ever Mikamatama. If it would be missing, would it give off Tuma? No, it needs to be a full limb. You see it has a size, even as a limb. What did he always saying? That a sheretz has no distinctions in its Tuma. But Sheikh Vasera does have distinctions in its Tuma. So we explained already. If you want to say that Sheikh Vasera, there are distinctions. Why? Because a Jew, Sheikh Vasera is tummy, but a non is not tummy. But we have a mouse of the sea, a sea mouse. I don't know if there's such a thing. And we have a mouse of the dry land. Sorry? An otter. Okay. And we have.
No, I know you. Otter sea is a marine creature that resembles a mouse. Because it has a resemblance, it too is called a mouse.
Okay.
It's a rodent.
Okay, so we see that there's such a thing as a distinction amongst shiratzim. Depends where it lives. Lives here. So if you're going to say that there's a difference between Sheikh Vasera, it depends if he's a Jew or non-Jew. So you have the dry land and the sea for shiratzim. We're not talking about difference of nationalities or something like that, or where they live, sea or dry land, or a Jew or non-Jew. We're talking about an age. A child, Sheikh Vasera isn't tamei, but an adult it means a child doesn't have.
Rabbi Smith?
Yeah.
That's a question. At the very beginning, you said, I think you were alluding to that, what comes out of a man
Right.
is different than other things that come out. It's treated differently, right? Could that be because it can make life with that? And
That's the assumed rationale. We actually taught here. We said according to Shmuel, it was only the type of Sheikh Vasera that could actually give life.
And then another question.
But it doesn't mean that the sperm count will make a difference here. It doesn't. I don't think that would matter in the tumah. And other the statistical possibilities. I don't think that's going to affect the tumah.
In general, if this is we're fighting our bodies, like I saw read in Tanya, strength and restriction. I don't know which one applies, but this is a really good opportunity to elevate.
Right.
There must be a reason.
Right.
Right.
By the way, there is a sea mouse found in the Mediterranean Sea. So that's
Interesting.
So it have legs. Maybe
We'll get it for a tank. We'll get it for a fish tank here. Display.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of restriction in the fact.
But it won't be a sheretz. That's what we're saying. It's not a sheretz. Only a regular mouse. So if you want to say that there's that the difference is Jewish and non-Jewish, then we can do the same thing with the sheretz. And you said that sheretz has no distinction. Well, dry land sheretz and sea sheretz. Amar of Papa. Papa says kitanai. It's actually a machlekes tanai. Minayin l'Rabbis negeh b'shich vaser. How do you know that touching a shich vaser makes a person tummy? Talmud Laimar. Plus it says oy ish, or a man. We think that we're referring to the pasuk oy ish asher yiga b'chol sheretz, or a man that will touch a sheretz. That oy ish is going to include also someone that touches a shich vaser. And there's a machlekes tanaim in general about how this works. When I learn one halacha from another halacha, there are those that say dun minei uminei. I learn from it and I stick to it. What I learned from. In other words, I need the if I'm learning the laws of Sheikh Vasera from touching a sheretz, then I have to keep all the laws of sheretz in place, and it would need to have a shear. They could, just like a sheretz has a shear, the Sheikh Vazar is going to have a shear. You learned it from there. They could those that say that I learned from there, but then I put it back in the place where I'm taking it to, and then I have different halachas. According to the one that says I learned from there and I leave it there, just like a sheretz could be touched, Sheikh Vazar could be touched, and it gives off tumah. And I keep it there. You need a size for both. That I only take from there what I want, and then I put it into its own status, and I relabel it under a new category. But I put it in its own place. Just like Sheikh Vazera makes a person tamei with the smallest amount, also touching it will make a person tamei with the smallest amount. Amalei Rav Huna Breder of Nasan Rav Papa. I was expecting this to be Rav Huna Breder of Yeshua, because he's the one that usually argues with Rav Papa. When we have a conversation, usually Rav Huna Breder of Yeshua, but I don't have any notes in mind to change it. And it doesn't mean there was no Rav Huna Breder of Nasan there either, just because there happens to be a Rav Huna Breder of Yeshua. Okay. You gave this whole nice talk, but you based it on a pasuk that says oy ish. How do you know that you have the right pasuk? Could be there's another pasuk that says oy ish, and then you lose the whole story. There's another pasuk, and you're not learning from sheretz, and it has nothing to do with dun minei v'kedasrei. It has nothing to do with that. You have a pasuk by Sheikh Vazar that says oy ish. The Kuli Alma Dun Minei Minei. Everyone holds Dun Minei Minei that we're learning from Sheikh Vazar itself. Shailinu L'Tanoi. They asked the Tanoi, that means the people that memorize the Brises, Ikad the Tanik Rab Papa, Ikad the Tanik Rab Huna Breder of Rav Nassim. There's some that had it in Rav Papa's version, there's some that had it in Rav Nassim's version, based on which pasuk are we quoting, because we have two psukim that have the same words. Very interesting Gemara. Okay. We have a new mission here. A girl that's even 1 day old, she sees blood. That blood would be Nidda blood. She's 10 days old. That means she had 7 days of Nidda and 3 days of Ziva. She could become a Zava. A child, Yomi, could give off to Ziva. I guess not Sheikh Vazera, because we just learned that. Metame bin Agayim. He could also get Saras just from 1 day old. Tami but Tami Mace. He could also become Tami if someone dies and he's there in the room. He could be Tami Mace. And if his brother is married and dies without children, this child, even though he's 1 day old, he's the one that's required to do the Yibum. And also, if he's the child of a woman whose husband had just passed away, they don't need to do Yibum because you have a child who's a day old. Michael Betruma, and let's say the mother is married to a Kayan and gets divorced, or he dies. I guess he dies. I'm not sure if there's a difference there. But she still has a child, 1 day old child, that's a Kayan. She's a single mother of a Kayan child. The mother's allowed to eat Truma because of the child. She does not go back to her father's house. The child keeps her in that status. And also, if we would do it the other way, the Gemara is going to discuss this, how exactly this works. But let's say it was a Bas Kayan that was married to a Yisrael, and there's a child. So, and she gets divorced. She does not go back to her father's house because of the child. That's the Yisrael. Right, but if she would get divorced, she would go back to her father's house without the child. But the Gemara is going to explain that this is slightly different than the way we're learning it now. He inherits and he can also bequeath. But Hargai, that means someone passed away, he gets the inheritance, and then all of that inheritance could get passed on to someone else. But Hargai Chayev, someone that kills this 1 day old child, it's Chayev Misa.
Wow.
Regarding Avelis, mourning, he's like a chassan shalim. I mean a groom? Assume so. The laws of Avelis apply. The Gemara says, where do we know this? Eily, I only know a woman that could become a Nidda. And a woman, the extra vav tells me even a child. 10 days to receive a how do we know this? I would only know a woman. How would I know a 10-day-old girl could also become a Zava? Because 7 of Nidda and 3 of Ziva. How do I know a child that's 1 day old could already have Zava, could also be a Zav? Where do we know this? Rabban ish, any man. The Rabbi says a double expression. Tells me that even a young child, Rabbi Shmuel Shmuel says, Rabbi Shmuel, the son of Rabbi Yechon says, you don't need that ish to tell me that. It says a male or a female. It says Zachar Nekeva, that tells me any sort of male, any sort of female, even a day old. According to him, why do you have the extra word? Ish, a double expression, a man, which means any man. We've had this before from Rabbi Shmuel ben Breka, and I mentioned then that I thought it was really the other Rabbi Shmuel, but apparently it's this Rabbi Shmuel. Matame ben Goyim, and also it could become Tame from Tzaras to Ksiv Adam Kiyabar Basari Adam Kalshu, any man. See, Ish, we had to have an extra pasuk, but Adam could mean even a child. Matame betame meis, he also becomes Tame with a corpse. Ksiv Al and a Pasha Shahayu Sham Nefesh Kaldu, and anyone that's there, any soul that's there, even if it's a child. The Zoykik Liyibam, and he also would marry his sister-in-law when he comes of age. As long as he was born 1 day old, then he's considered a brother, not if he was in the womb. He exempts the mother from doing Yibam. He says, says if she doesn't have a son, and here she has a son, a day old. And also she causes the mother to eat truma. The children of the Kayan, they eat the truma, and it's the pasuk says Yachilu, which is a causative, that we learn it as a causative, that it causes others to be able to eat truma. Okay, I have to leave Paisal Mina Truma for tomorrow. Huh?
Thank you.
Good day. Oh, whoops. Have a good.
Thank you.